Recording. So, hello everyone, and we start what's today? Thursday call. Today is about human AI collaboration from the human perspective, less about technology, more about us as a feeling, emotional journey, and the stress of working with AI, the fear of collaborating with AI, and so on. So I want to start by sharing something that is relatively new. I don't know if you know about the command slash goal inside Hermes, and now it's been added to Codex. This is a command that allow the AI agent to work for longer. Okay, so today I gave this command and the AI worked for, I think, almost 5 hours, or maybe almost 6 hours. Anyway, for long, a lot of work, and there is this thing. Okay, more you disconnect yourself from AI and delegate more, even though you have a plan, everything, it's organized, you know what AI needs to do. So in theory, you delegate AI something that is really well structured. But nevertheless, there's this feeling of, is he gonna do it? Then you wait 5 hours and you see the AI wouldn't stop, but then you stop it and say, so this is what I've done. Okay. So I waited 4, 5, 6 hours. I don't even remember now. I stopped it and then I decided, okay, let's have a look, let's check it out because if he's drifting, he's been drifting for 5 hours. Okay, it's pretty scary. And so I asked AI to open the. I'm gonna share actually, so you can see it. Let me find it. Again, we're not gonna talk. I'm talking about the human side of it, okay? But I want to share with you what is happening also with the Resonant OS. Where is it? Screen sharing. Okay, so this is the new Resonant OS as it is at the moment. So he created this page as was described. It needs to be improved. Okay, the graphic it needs to be improved, but at least we start to having something. Okay, in theory we have Hermes working like we said the other time. So I can say new and ask go to Amazon and get Amazon and find me a laptop.
Watch this closely, guys. This is cool. Watch.
So now it's search for a laptop and he's already decided that I should buy a PlayStation. That was a test from before. And so it's controlling all of this. So it's working. Okay, all beautiful. But after those 5 hours, first of all, it's not finding the laptop for some reason. Why? After working for 5 hours, I opened this app and it wasn't working. So it was broken. And even now, go to Amazon and find a laptop, but this is Amazon not working in reality. I know, yeah, maybe it was working. Um, so what is happened is the AI start making a series of mistakes. So at the moment, even though this is one of the most powerful AI, and according to some kind of what's the name? Some kind of a new benchmark. Codex is the most powerful AI, much better than Claude. I don't know if you watch those video that they show about this new benchmark. What we have now still something that work, but you can't trust it 100%. So this feeling of not be able to trust this system, it's kind of eroding, but at the same time this ability of allowing AI to work for so long is so powerful. So it's about finding, okay, what's the strategy today with the technology that we have to actually be able to leverage that ability, okay, while at the same time still in control because AI is gonna drift. So that is somehow the new challenge. This is something I'm gonna try to experiment. So after this call, I'm gonna ask this codex. I'm going to give a series of tasks to do, so it will work overnight, and we will have hopefully this Resonant OS more ready and so on. So the good news is that because of this reason, we can go even faster. At the same time, there is this, new challenges to look into. So I'm just sharing this thing because this is my latest, my latest emotional uh, kind of things to deal with, because the temptation of allowing AI to just go, it's so powerful. I mean, working for 6 hours is a lot. Okay, think about the amount of token that is been burning, but 6 hour working straight, no stop, it's a lot of code that has been written. So there's a lot of things that have been fixed in the background. Now you see this interface is more or less the same of what we had. Okay, maybe you see some new icons and a few things, but more or less it's what we had yesterday. But in the background, there's a lot of things that have been changed and improved, and and so on. So we can now set the provider and start working right away. Anyway, so that is what I wanted to share. I don't know if any of you has anything similar as a. So what again? I'm not talking about the technology. I'm more talking about how you feel about working in this environment of uncertainty, constant uncertainty. Tom, go ahead.
I want to give everyone else an opportunity if anyone wants to jump in. I know it's difficult on these calls. Anybody else want to say something before I add to that? Okay. So first of all, Manolo, thank you. Great job. I don't know if you guys realize, but that UI work that he's done, very nuanced, a lot of good taste and intent and decisions went into that. And like Manolo said, you can't really see everything behind the scenes. There's a lot of wiring, there's a lot of security work because we're running inside of a browser. It needs to work properly. I mean, just getting things to pop in, pop out, slide. All these things, these nuances are difficult to achieve, and it's a lot of iteration. And like Manolo said, we're using new tools, so the velocity is just way out there. The temptation to tell it to go fix it, go build me a website is there. But if you don't have really structured intent and really well defined task, the AI will just do what you told it, or it will assume things. And you really don't want it to assume things in long running tasks because, like we talked about, it'll burn all kinds of tokens. But the result of this, augmented collaborative AI, if you are directing it with intent and you've got good taste and you refine it and you iterate, it becomes a different type of software engineering paradigm. You're really not focused on the execution and the bug work yourself. So it compresses that to here, and that's where you get this amazing, rush when you start developing. You're like, wow, this is incredible because you see it's collapsing development to here, right? And when you take out those mechanical, difficult, long-running things, also things like documentation, penetration testing, regression testing, all the boring, annoying things that people skip typically, the AI can actually do it. And then your job is not to do it, but to verify it. So it becomes a game of setting intent, your creative intent, and then executing, and then verification. And then, it gets even more complicated when you start collaborating. And I mean, this has really been an exhilarating experience for me because Manolo and I have been working back and forth, and to get to do this augmented velocity development. I was just throwing out terms to try to make this, fit, but that's really what we're doing. We're augmented and we're going at hyper velocity. And when you're doing collaborative development, if you've ever done that in a real setting, it takes time. You'll toss a piece of code over to a guy, he'll work on it, he'll toss it back. That's not what we're doing here. We're hitting hyperspace buttons. Like we're rolling, like Victor said, hey, make this in Electron. I'm like, okay. And then I look and I see that Manolo had already done it 95% of the way. And I'm like, okay, I'll spend an hour or two, and bam, now we have it in Electron. So, and then we're like, Manolo looks at it and I look at it and Victor look at it again. We're like, oh, that's not going to work. So we scratch it off. it doesn't matter because the cost of development is like almost this. And honestly, it was practice. I don't. We got it running in Tori, we got it running in Electron, we got it running in a browser, and now we have it running as a web extension. Hey, I mean, we tested everything, right? So that just gives us validation that our architecture is correct. So thanks, Manolo. Great job. I'm really happy. This is where we needed to be. I think we're moving past alpha, really.
Uh, Thank you, Tom. And yeah, the journey is not easy. It's. I mean, it's all learning. The collaboration that we are doing at the moment, Tom and I, it's not easy because it's. I think I think what is the challenge here is probably alignment. Okay, to be sure that we are aligned, so we aligned as a humans, okay, on what we need to build, but then we also align our AI, so we are carry on building in with coherence, and the things make sense because sometimes we swap. Some of the code they don't agree. Okay, they don't agree. My AI look Tom AI and said, look, I don't agree with what you've been doing. Okay, so there is that kind of also the kind of friction. So this is something that we can experiment only in a community. Okay, because every time that we work with ourselves, there always coherence with is our own universe. Okay, within our universe, we can make mistake, get lost, but it's ours. We are always in control. Now, what we are learning is how do we align ourselves with others so we can work together? And it's not an easy challenge. Okay, it's not an easy game. Uh, I think I believe this was my vision at the beginning that it's possible to do via smart contract. Okay, in the sense we can force alignment and force in a good sense. Okay, it's not like a punishment force, but force alignment in the sense we have some smart contract that AI needs to go through. So it's gonna in somehow load up, for example, just to say, to give an example that we can understand, can load up, for example, the manifesto of argumentatism. So when he looks at the problem, he must have looked at the manifesto. So he can see through the lens. Okay, then can be other things like the SDK of the of the platform. So before you write code for an add-on for Redstone OS or whatever it is, the AI must have read and certified. So deterministic proof that has read and applied the SDK to build a part of the software. Pascal.
Thanks. I wanted to bring up something that's a little bit adjacent to this and just kind of reflect on how these meetings have gone. Um, this is very high touch for you right now, Manolo, because you have to attend to each of these weekly meetings, and we have a variety of people who can attend who are able to basically on that. And I know at this point you're focused on building community and seeing the people who show up to these and who actually end up to committing to work on these things. Um, from some of the past projects that I've been involved with, um, we're really enabling people from, I think, the Americas and maybe from Europe and Africa to be able to attend these meetings. And because of time zone issues, it's harder for folks from Asia. I think particularly of China and India to be able to attend these. And so, one of the things is eventually, if we want this to be a global thing, we'll probably have to have at least two meetings. And so, that's something to think about. And then at some point, people who are kind of really interested in contributing to this, like we kind of have to ask for some sort of commitment to from people to work on something specific. I know we're not there yet, but I just thought I would bring these up as kind of organizational things to think about. Thank you.
Thank you, Pascal. Yeah, both points are really good. So regarding the other time zone, what I'm thinking, because I can't cover everything, of course, right? So what we need is at one point community members that decide, okay, I'm gonna have, you know, a meeting, I don't know, and you run it. Okay, and so what I'm saying, in theory, within our groups, there is roughly 35, 40% of people in the US. That is more or less the reality. So that means for them, for those of you in the US, it's you can do a different time zone, and you could cover, you know, the other part of the world, which for European is kind of a big shift in time. We still have some hours in common, of course, okay, but it's a huge shift. So think about, we have someone in the community that today is not here, but Sam is in New Zealand. Okay, so he managed just about to join us. But more you go a little bit already, Australia, India, and Indonesia, they're out of the time zone. But even the Arab country, the area, because it's late now, so it's already, you know, 11 or whatever, 12 in the evening. So it's kind of tough. So we need to find over time a way to be more inclusive for those different time zones, especially because they. I mean, at the moment we are covering the Western culture, let's say. Okay, so it's a good starting point, but we're missing out a huge amount of you know, diversity, and they're amazing. I mean, there is so much to learn and get from there. So definitely we should find a way. What I'm trying to do at the moment, I'm already in contact. My plan here is to find other people like myself. Okay, people that do, they can be like this lighthouse and find other community member, so they could lead other kind of meeting and so on. So now I'm in contact with a YouTuber. It's a much smaller channel, but my one is was already is already small. Her channel is even smaller, but I think she could be the right person because she could resolve a lot of different problem for us. And she's in the US, so it could do cover, you know, different time zone, different demographic, and so on. So that is my hope. So on that part, totally agree, and that is the work that I'm doing. But then, Pascal, you said another point. What was it? Uh, Commitment.
Oh, yes. Just because each day we have a different focus, but I feel like a lot of times we are listening to you and I understand you're trying to bring everybody up to some kind of baseline of understanding of what the project is and what the kind of future areas for contributing are. Um, uh, I, I guess I just wonder if you've thought about how long you think that will last and like what might be the trigger event, and maybe it's the number of people. Like if we start getting, I don't know, 50 people on each of these calls, then we have the capacity to start breaking them down and contributing. Um, and who knows how long that will take? Maybe it's with the summertime. Sometimes people have more time. Sometimes people have less time because they're out traveling and doing other things. But yeah.
So yeah, no, those are all valid point. So I don't have a final plan for this, okay? Because we are all learning by doing. But I have a little bit of experience in groups and together with Shimon, like you know, we've been working in different international projects, and a lot of those done online and so on. So at the moment, the plan is this one. There's two things to look into. One is community alignment. Okay, which is what mainly we are doing here. Okay, so we are trying to know each other, and I learn from you, you learn from me, we learn from each other. Therefore, we find an alignment. Okay, and that is also why I keep pushing on diversity, because otherwise we align on the wrong line. Okay, so that is so important. So that's why I'm pushing really hard on that part. But this is what we are doing at the moment. Um, when start the maturity out of the group, and when we start to be more, we should start to be divided and be more productive. Because a massive group like already what we have now, it's become really difficult to be each one active. Okay, by a sort of rules, the person that talk is the person that is learning. Okay, the active person is the person that is learning. So I need to talk the least as possible, like we tried to do yesterday. Okay, so I need to talk the least as possible, and you need to talk as much as possible. So that is how we all improve. To do it, it's smaller group. Okay, that is the only way, especially because now the idea is yeah, we are today 20 something. Okay, then we're gonna be 50, and then 200, and then 1,000. Okay, so that is the direction. We are not. The idea is not to stay small. Okay, the idea of this is about going into millions. Okay, so so it's a long journey. Thank you, Pascal. If you have idea, if anybody of you has an idea, if anybody of you want to lead on those new calls, it's at the moment those are. Have in mind that is me as an active member, that I'm extremely active doing this. Okay, but each one of you can do the same. Okay, you can have you know, calls every day. Okay, and create groups and talk, discuss about something. It's not, you don't need me. Okay, that is the idea of decentralization. You can say you will. I mean, you will get my support. Okay, so if you start doing something, we can promote it. We can promote on Substack as well, and so on. But if you want to lead something and start, and be sure that is aligned with our manifesto, then you will get my support. Momir.
So yeah, it's great that it's my turn now because this is what we've been talking, and even privately, I offer myself openly and concretely to take a little bit of burden regarding the organization of this. This is communication, maybe also connected to design. This overall our marketing and networking. Some kind of group department, whatever. The goal was from next week to start to meet. I will just publish few. Let's make it simple as possible. I will just publish few possible dates and time, and everybody is welcome. Some stuff is already been done. I've been working something, but it's always crowded, so it's not. These are not the meetings to just present everything, but. Uh, I also work much better in a team, so I'm kind of used that. So what I've done on my own, that's it. But I don't see. I can do tons of stuff, but this is just not the way it should be done. I did some work to just present it and to have some kind of starting point, and then we can agree about collaboration regarding overall communication groups. Maybe this meeting can be in some early time, so some other zone can join. I'm totally open also to that we start and this is about that, so this is what I was planning to shortly and tell on this meeting and what we discussed internally before. uh, yeah, and I actually wanted to reflect about the strategy, how we actually deal with that long-term tasks, and I just wanted to tell my opinion and my mm, experience because okay, I did some vibe coding, but this is not my primary focus in AI. I'm pretty on the ground working with one shoe production company, one producer of some tailor-made boxes for expensive instruments. I work a lot in architecture, in real estate, designing some uh, centers for cities. This is what I've been working before, and I continue to work, but using AI. And regarding the long tasks in that area, because when you have a programming space, okay, there is so much data in there, and okay, you put long task, it comes out what it comes out. It can be refactored. It can, the AI understands the code very well, so you can always throw the code to some AI and it will refactor it again and make it a bit better. But it's all area of coding. But this is just one area of human work, and we should attract all other people that do all thousands of professions that we want to involve, which are not coding. And regarding that, I work in that mode a lot, and I can tell that tiny mistakes, as you say, drift in one moment when it's about the expertise that's very specific, that has tons of different elements depending. It's so easy to make mistake. So to put it on a long run, it's just crazy. I show you sometimes I have some sequences of prompts, which I did myself 10 times. I know they work properly, but only that sequence I can put in work for, I don't know, hour. But in a sequence, very precisely to get a document which I can give to client. Because if I need to edit the document which AI threw me out, that's hell. Then I want to do it slowly, piece by piece with AI. Because it's very hard to correct the AI mistakes in a proper expertise documents, which are kind of, I don't know, architectural plan for one county. It's if it's flop, no help. So I'm just telling regarding my opinion, and this is what I'm expecting actually in a way to that Resonant OS makes me easy to upgrade because this is now what I'm doing manually. But maybe this would be actually the value proposition of Resonant OS and the augmenter to feel your dynamics and to adjust in the dynamics of your work and how you actually want to give to all those agents under the augmenter which we will have. We can have pay-per-click agents in an organization. We can have individual hermeses. We can have individual codexes. It's a mess. But because the stuff is going on, pay-per-click is going better. I don't know. There is a Ion UA, which is also some kind of a meta orchestrator of Hermeses. The things getting crowded, but Resonant OS should be keep its position in real resonance with the user to understand what is the dynamics. Resonant should and Augmenter should answer that question. We shouldn't answer that question for anybody. The augmenter should be the one who should recognize what kind of work somebody does, what is the proper dynamics, what is his level of knowledge, what is his taste. People different. Somebody works in easy in 5 hours. Somebody wants to work every 1 hour and then have a half an hour of pause because he has children and he always has to do something. The life situations are so different, and I think if augmenter could be the one who really understands the person, that's a resonance, who totally understands, and then the whole things wraps up in a way that that person needs at the moment, and then it makes you grow. And this is how I see it. But it's not a matter. It depends. Programming work may be long tasks, but other type of the work, a lot of control is needed. So these are my thoughts about that.
Thank you, Mamir. Yeah, so I mean, this is one of the protocol that I have, right? That is the injection of friction. So allow to insert basically friction, so you increase the time and therefore you increase your taste within the work. The thing what I'm experimenting at the moment, it's because AI is gonna drift, whatever it is, okay, all the time. It's always a drift. So what I'm feeling here is, okay, if AI is always drifting, okay, and it's all about, okay, it's gonna drift, and then I'm gonna check. It's gonna drift, I'm gonna check, okay. So when in some scenario you need to check more often, so the drift is minimum, and sometimes what I'm trying to learn now, it's how do you manage a longer drift, because at the end it's like a surfing. Okay, I'm gonna surf this wave of drift, and then I maybe there is a way of creating prompts or executing instruction in a way that it self-adjust for longer task, or maybe there is something that we need to do at the end and say, okay, now double check the whole thing. Now it's check where the drift, check against the documentation, whatever. Okay, so the AI can realign, but it's all about experimentation. Now, the thing that you said, it creates another layer of complexity. And this is where we are at the moment. Okay, because you might become good at drifting, surfing the wave of codecs. Okay, but then you go into Hermes, is another kind of drift, is another kind of environment, and then Paperclip, another one. So that is it's really complicated. I think this is the moment of maximum complication because it's we are the pioneer discovering the new things, so nobody knows about it. But thank you for this, Momir. Victor,
Oh, can I be heard?
yeah.
All right. So I guess I've had a lot of experience like what you had like maybe 2 months ago. Because I haven't really been working with AI very, very long for development, but in my job, we had to use it for the last year in certain ways that I didn't really love, and I decided to sort of conquer it for agentic development. But what I found out working with it is that it's not necessarily, or I should preface this. The only two agents I've really had to work with extensively are Claude Code and Onyx. But working at least within Claude Code to do code, I found that the types of mistakes it makes over the long term are very consistent with like what a junior developer would do. Or when I've been in teams and I've had to supervise code and other developers, I don't see a lot of mistakes that are outside of what I would expect from other developers. So I've found that just applying the same types of processes I would for code review that I would normally do for a real human seem to work well enough. But it also means that that process, like that makes it sound like the process is on the back end, but there's a lot of processes on the front end of the development that I also employ when I work with, other human beings. And I like to think about the way I approach like architecture is I'm always thinking about what are my failure states? Like what are my worst case scenarios? What's going to keep me up at night? And I'm always asking questions, at least to the AI, around those and having it justify everything that meets those fears and takes those away first. And that's going into my plan before it starts. And I also find that I don't do as much planning specifically in the agent that I'm doing the coding with. I use the tool Onyx, and to Mamir's point, like having an agent that learns about you and your tastes and all that. I didn't use this tool originally because I thought it did that. I didn't think it did it at all, but over time, what I've discovered is it definitely learns who I am, what I think. It's learned to talk like me. It learns to speak like me. It disturbs me a little bit in some ways. But the benefit of it is when I start talking about solutions or start brainstorming through that, it starts to give me solutions in a way that it knows fits with the other projects I have going on, with its awarenesses of my capabilities based upon the things that I've said. And it has this long-term memory that carries over between sessions that I don't know how it exactly works. I know Claude Code has memories, but I don't find that those are very similar to how Onyx does it. But Onyx is free and open source, so I literally, what I find myself most often using like my agents to do is take this repo and be my search engine for it. Find these algorithms, find these tools, find these capabilities, and tell me how they work. And one of these days, I'm going to go into Onyx and figure out exactly how it does that so I can see how this is implemented. And the same with Claude Code. If you have access to the source code of that through whatever means, I think it also is going to be a good exercise to go through that, ask the AI to tell how these features are implemented so you can start seeing those things as pieces and algorithms that you can reorganize into other projects in a way that's coherent for whatever use case has the same type of scenario. But yeah, I too have also experienced that. Well, does it work? But then I'm just always going back to my list of, is my architecture, how did I architect this to fail? And did we cover all the fail states by the end of it? And I just kind of go back over that.
Thank you, Victor. And yes, this is the idea of Resonant OS, right? So one AI that we can trust, the one that knows us the best, and we strategize with. But like you can see, it requires time in the sense the moment that you install doesn't know you. So there is a journey to align this AI with you, and more data he has, more quality data he has, the better can interact with you. Saul, go ahead.
Hey, I'm going to talk a little bit more today because Chimo's not here.
Thank
So
you.
here it goes. A couple of things.
Charlie.
You know, in some ways, I think that sometimes we just have to be a little bit on the more human side of things. And like, I understand where we're at. We have to build this thing. So even on a day like today, like it just keeps finding its way into the conversation. But I don't blame anyone because we're in the middle of this. But a couple of things I want to address is like I hear the argument, not an argument, the great and wonderful point that that Manolo, he has to talk a lot and he has to be at everything. He probably has less of a life outside of this more and more with all these meetings. But I've been a part of, and I think we all have been a part of organizations where if you start to delegate too quickly, it's amazing how people will come in and be like, oh, I'm all about it. And then in 3 weeks, they're like, well, they're gone. And then it's heartbreaking because I find it to be quite heartbreaking because like you're trusting somebody with something you care so much about, and then something happens. So I do think it's good for him to be able to get to the place where he like really says, okay, these guys are really with me. Certain guys are really with me. And I think we're proving that. But as we prove it, I think that he's naturally going to be able to start like saying, okay, I think that I can just like step back a little bit. But I think it's wise to do it that way. Anyway, but I also think we're at a point, we're quickly moving to a point where like it's going to become unmanageable for one person to be like, I'm everywhere. So that's why we have to sort of prove ourselves. And on our bad days, where we don't feel like showing up, because whatever, we keep showing up, right, Manolo? Anyway, that's only part A. I talked to a lot of people about this movement. And in the beginning, when I first started talking to people about Resonant OS and augmentation and everything, I think I just confused like the first 100 people. Like when I was talking to them, they're like, "You're in a cult? Like what?"
Yes.
And now I'm able to speak to them and like get them interested. I'm like, "You have to do this." I met the CEO of a tech company, and I'm trying to get him on board. Like, man, you got to come in. And he has like teams of coders like in different countries. And I said, we'll talk more. But something I've noticed though, this kind of goes with Pascal's point is like none of the people I've talked to are able to come at noon. Zero of them. And so if I said, hey, Tuesday nights at whatever time, we're going to have a boot camp session. And it would also be really cool. So that's something I think will come in the future where like regionally, we're going to have a way to like have these side meetings that are going to start plugging people in because they'll want to know. But once that happens, I think we'll really gain even a greater foothold. Anyway, moving on. I'm really interested with what Momir said. I'm interested in that because I actually work really great with collaboration. And here's why. And this is where I'm just going to throw out my personal life a little bit. So my son, when he was 15, 16, we had to go to a specialist and find out like why is he so scattered and he doesn't have good executive functioning abilities. And so we got an appointment with a specialist to find out what was going on. He got diagnosed with ADHD, pretty severe. So I'm sitting in this office and she's saying, well, what's your school like and what's your childhood like? And we're asking him all these questions. And as she was asking him, I was going, wait a second, wait, this sounds familiar. This sounds familiar. So then I went home and I said to my wife, you know what? I might have ADHD. And she just says to me, you're figuring this out now? This is not news.
Like
And so for
probably
me,
most of us.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think somehow we all, like so many people are on the spectrum. So what happens for me is like when I get to AI, the possibilities are endless, which is the worst thing for me. I need to whittle it down to a start button or something. So I literally have to work on the process before I can do the work. And in that way, I can understand people who like to work on teams because there's some concrete things about teams where I know I can do this, but I probably can't just a blank piece of paper is not my friend. I like when to have things that I can like jump into. So I love this thing about being collaborative because it's actually very helpful to me and very encouraging. So I want to throw that out there. And I'm gonna not talk too much longer about the collaboration part. There's a really great book and it's titled Who Not How. And it's all about the formula of connecting people and how much more you can get accomplished. So I'm going to throw that title into the chat and then I'm going to stop my turn. And there's two more hands up. So
Thank you, Sal. So I want to say this thing. First of all, I already have trust in you in leading calls by yourself and leading the community. I already have this. I think it's just more about you trusting that you can do it. Because for me, you are there, you are in line with the manifesto, you show a lot of commitment. So I know that you are there. What is the tough part? It's so like I would say, I think it was yesterday, like for me to get to where we are now, it took almost a year. Okay, so the beginning of anything is tough. So you might start a call and maybe there is a few people. Okay, just a handful, or maybe there is a lot of us. I don't know. Who knows? But that is the thing. What brings us to success is this determination of carry on because you know that it's gonna work, even though there is no evidences. But I believe that hopefully I gave to all of you the evidences that this thing works. Okay, it's about be there, present, and showing up. And to build. So whenever you feel ready to do at 2 p.m., like you said, an evening, Tuesday evening for you in the US, a call, you have my support, and it should be done. The earlier, the better, in reality. Victor, go ahead.
I was just going to ask and like to say something about your original point about the AI working long. I know in Claude you have skills. I don't know what Codex allows for like automatic tasks and processes that can be enabled within it. But I know I personally, based upon having the AI fail in consistent ways, have like a skill that asks a series of questions that addresses each one of those things and tell it to go on a loop until the answer to all of these questions is not yes. And I found that saves me tremendous amount of time and headache in terms of closing out features with actual AI. And and also, yeah, ADHD is wonderful when you know. But that's all I had to say.
Yeah, totally. Thank you. Yeah, and probably, I mean, I don't want to say about you, but I can't even pronounce the word. I need to read it for how severe is my ADHD, probably. But yeah, so I think most of us probably we are there, and it's all right. So Momir, go ahead. You're muted if you're talking. You still muted? Momir, you're muted.
Sorry. Just wanted to continue on this Sal's proposal, and let's meet and just continue to start this collaboration frame. There are ways how to do it. It's not an easy thing because the community makes this transition. It has to scale, and this thing. I was let's say leader in more than few different types of movements. Some on ecology, some on blockchain, and this always happens that this while we speak and kind of encourage and then this is one type of engagement, but but when it has to flip into something concrete, it's always difficult. It's this is so it's nothing to be rushed too much because we have a nice calls here. We are kind of converging and getting ourselves together, and everybody builds up this community feeling that. But uh, uh, it is tricky and it needs to be planned very carefully because when people jump into this working mode, mostly we are determined by our work ethics, which is okay, there is somebody who is the boss and he will tell me what to do. And this is not for people to blame. It's a just it's so strange. For me is so strange when I see. I know I have something to maybe I'm a kind of guy who sees the problems. And then I'm just telling myself, okay, shut up. It's not. But in this moment, I have to say several problems which are in my mind like, okay, this is an issue we will face. Maybe it's not the time. And then somebody comes up from your people yesterday, day before, just speaking about this problem and being the expert how to solve this problem. Like this guy we have, which is working with DAOs and legal stuff. Like yesterday, I don't know. It happens all the time. We really have people nicely distributed in different areas of expertise in which they can really they know what what they talk about and they can solve some problems really really quickly. But how to actually from this how to make this organism organically grow and easily flow. It's not it's thing that needs my suggestion. It's a thing that needs to be prepared. It won't happen by itself. That's my experience from I say several different movement type projects. Maybe not like this, but in nature like this. In always it always my opinion was that it when we had to start to work together it got very, very complicated because, and my experience is as a leader, that was my mistake. I was not prepared enough. But now, when we have AI who can actually help us do this preparation work, something on paper which you can distribute and everybody reads it quietly at his home and comes inform what we are talking about and what is the goal. So we don't have to repeat again and again some stories that are from new people and some story that we know we as older know which very good. So it requires preparation and careful nurturing of community members to get on the mature level that we could really collaborate effectively and not to happen this stupid. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, somebody wants to do something and then something happened and he didn't even tell he didn't want to do it. He just ghosted. And then you as a leader has this bad feeling exactly like that, like okay, I'm no, and then you're afraid to delegate because you don't want to make this kind of mistake. And it's a tricky thing. So we want to help you here. We have experience with that. We know exactly what what is the issue, and it's not easy one.
Thank you, Mamir. And I totally understand. What my perspective is this one. Okay, it might be weird for most of you, but this is my perspective. Okay, we don't have a boss, we have a manifesto. Okay, so we follow what we agreed together, which is at the moment the Argumentativo Manifesto, which we can change. Okay, as a community, we say, okay, there is something to improve, something to change, because we that manifesto has never been tested. Okay, it's something that I over let's say years and months have been thinking about, and then that is my what I see. Okay, but that is the beginning. Okay, it's meant to be changed and grow and developed by the community. It's not easy. I can understand it's not easy, but once we aligned, then it's gonna be easier to do it. So the real boss here is the manifesto. Okay, we work because of the aligned intent. So we want to achieve the same thing, and this thing should be written down, not imposed by a leader. Okay, so there's that element. Then regarding the delegation, it's it's not needed in reality. Okay, it's not me that need to delegate. It's more about you feeling ready to represent the manifesto and say, now I can work on it. I can do the next step. Okay, it's about that part because if we have I hope this makes sense and is clear. If we have this social how do you call it social contract, okay, that we agree together, now we can execute it. That's all it is. And if you honor that contract, then your execution should be in line with for the interest of the entire community. Okay, you don't need someone to tell you what to do. You just need to say, okay, I'm in line with the intent of the community, with the, the common goal. Now I can do whatever action as long as I work for that goal. Okay, that is how we should feel. So whenever you feel ready, you take action. Now, inside the community, we can push ourselves a little bit and say, look, you want to do this thing, I'm gonna support you, whatever. Okay, so we can work in this way. But we need to see that there's no leaders. There is just super, how do you call it? Uh, Maybe power users, power extremely active uh, contributors. Uh, Dr. Tom.
Thank you, Nolo. So I think you're exactly right. I would say, in addition to that, when you do tribe up into engineering groups, like if me and Victor and Michelle get together and we design and work on some UI and we agree this is how it's going to work, the friction that you run into in a development team requires organization. So just in tactical steps, not like I'm calling all the shots in a group. I'm just saying, here's the work to be done. It's a Kanban board. If you're familiar with that methodology, you put things on the board and stick them up there, and people grab stickies and run off, right? And if we all agree on what those stickies are, we end up in a much better place, and we're more effective, and the outcome is much better. So it's not, saying this is what we're doing. It's all everyone agreeing on what the work is and then picking it apart on a tactical level. So we are agreeing if someone is kind of, organizing it. It's just the organizational method. So
Yeah, but we need like I'm gonna find it, but like I explained this in one of the article, the organization doesn't come from the top down. Okay, this is the failure. If the organization come from top down, we're gonna be slow, non-reactive, and not sensitive to the real problem. So the organization needs to from bottom up. So people inside the community needs to start organizing. Say, okay, I see there is this, like the need that Pascal was saying. Okay, we need to cover this other time zone. Okay, no, now Sal was saying somehow the same. Now Pascal and Sal have a meeting and say, like, why we don't do it together? Okay, we are in this similar time zone. We can cover this thing. Maybe we can find other people in a similar time zone and start one call a week and see how it goes. Okay, you stay constant. No, nobody show doesn't matter. You stay constant. We keep promoting. We now is inside the calendar, and slowly, it's gonna work. So that is how we should work from the bottom up. Then the
we agree.
organization within the small group is like Tom, you're right. No, but when you build a group, then you as a group you organize yourself, you delegate, you give tasks and so on. But it's
Yeah.
not the top down, the pyramid, the massive pyramid that needs to follow, a million of
Oh, we're in
members.
complete agreement. Yeah, we're in
Yeah.
complete agreement. Yeah,
So
in the small team.
that's how we need to do from you guys needs to start this kind of action. Momir.
Just a quick one, but just to, when you say we should organize, this kind of organically, there are systems also for that. But, if there is a system which is kind of concrete, then we can catch on it and just follow in our space using this frame. But it's a frame. It's not just a word when you feel. I'm kind of a guy which feels and just jumps on and said, okay, I will do this. But I'm in my environment, I'm a rare kind of guy that does this. And in our culture, nobody does this anymore. So
I'm sure
it's
that
a,
everyone here actually they feel the moment to
uh,
join, to be active. So I'm sorry to stop you, Momir. Carry on.
I just put the link. There is a holocracy. So holocracy is a system old, maybe 10 years or 15, which is made for this kind of horizontal organization with some mechanisms, with some frames. What you call group, there is a circle. In a circle, you can have a different roles. In some circle, you can have a leading role. In some circle, you can have a validation role or a reporting role or whatever. You can change your circle. It's free to jump in, but you know what's the circle? You know, it writes somewhere. I have my 2 hours. I jump into this circle and I do the task. There needs to be a pocket of information organized, structured in different way. It doesn't have to be a hierarchical. Holocracy is a system that works for a long time in this NGO sector and this some special areas which are very much about horizontal organization and there are some problems about that issues also there are some challenges it's not so easy anymore but there is a it's not this is what I meant by preparation. It can stand I'm just talking this because I want this for success. Don't get me that I'm just criticizing but just kind of this is me. You will get me known. I'm just kind of looking through this stuff. I was working like that for whole life, so I can help myself. So don't get me wrong that I'm just criticizing, but just to this structure, there are structures that support our nature and can be presented as a kind of frame. Okay, this is how we can be organized. But then somebody did this work because it's also work of preparation of these structural mechanisms of how it goes. And then we can just open the circles and start to work in these circles. Then this is it.
Thank you, Mumir. I totally agree. What this is my thinking. So we as an adult, we should decide how we want to organize instead of being imposed by me. So that the method that you presented is well tested, is known, like you said, has some limits and works better in some culture, works worse in others. So it's good. Maybe we should have like a place where there are different method of collaboration, so people can pick the right one for them, or they can develop their own. The I don't feel like imposing. This is the methodology. Okay, it's more. Each one of us should be looking for the methodology of a collaboration in the way that they prefer.
But
So if and this one is a good one, Mumir, and maybe we need a database of a different way of collaboration and for people to explore. Maybe people don't know about these kind of things, so it makes sense. It can be again another master class that you can say, look, I'm gonna do a master class where I'm gonna talk about this different way of collaboration. So who is interested can come. You can make a video and then we can have it, saved somewhere. AJ, go ahead.
I just want to bring up I think we still need to take into account your manifesto. That's something that we all kind of center around. And I would hate to see a group come in and say, well, we're not really aligned with your manifesto, where, this all originated around your manifesto, your ideas. So, I still think that's important and valid, and not just some one day a group say, well, we just want to do it totally different. I don't know if you agree with that or not.
For some reason, I'm not totally sure that I'm understood. Can you?
Like,
Can you
you brought this group together around your manifesto, your idea of the augmenter, and
yeah.
when you say, we're free to do whatever we want, and I think in a sense we are, but I still think there needs to still be that core that we all came together around, and not one day that core be pushed aside or dissolved, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Right.
But so my idea here is you can do whatever you want as long as it's aligned with the manifesto. Otherwise, it will be
Right.
outside the DAO. Okay, and then when we have the DAO and smart contract, the smart contract will enforce the manifesto once it's agreed between us. Okay, so it's not
Mm.
like enforcing something that is outside the culture of the DAO, and enforce in a sense that check if we actually not capturing someone else's freedom to be sovereign. Okay, because this is the main thing. Okay, so
Yeah.
at the end, the manifesto is telling that each one of us should be sovereign. So the moment that I lock you into, for example, a collaboration system or a whatever a different protocol, or even Resonant OS as a software that doesn't allow you to navigate and change it, then the manifesto is not being applied, and we lost the goal. So that's why I'm saying let's keep the manifesto as a thing that is guide us, each one of us. And if we as a community we see, okay, the manifesto has some limits, let's change the manifesto. But to be part of the community, we need a social contract that align us all. So the manifesto is pretty wide. Okay, it doesn't say anything weird or really specific. All it says is each member should be have the, how do you call it again?
Freedom or
The
sovereignty.
Yeah, the sovereignty of making decision about their architecture, about their model, about anything. Okay, that is the idea. We shouldn't capture anybody else. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
I agree. I just want to make sure that that stays. And there needs to be a core group, or even in the DAO, to say, hey, I mean, this is ingrained. This doesn't change. There has to be, you know, I know you say there's a hierarchy, and that's a double-edged sword. There's a hierarchy that says, hey, you know, this is our core. We don't change that. And there needs to be the group to say this is not going to be changed. Not that somebody comes in and says, well, sovereignty is not really worth anything, where the whole group is like, no, it is. That's one of our main points, main foundations or pillars. You know, there needs to be that that rule, that law that says no. You know, in the manifesto, sovereignty is a pillar, and that never goes away.
No, there is a structure of governance. Okay, so
Yeah.
the custodians are the one that protect and in somehow, I don't know if it's the right word, but enforce the manifesto. Okay, so what they do is try to be sure that the community stay in line with the manifesto, with the
Yeah.
decision are in line with the manifesto, and so on. Okay, that is the job of the custodians. To vote for changing the such an important element is not like someone that just join can change the manifesto, can vote for changing the manifesto, or even submit an idea to change the manifesto. No, there is a hierarchy on, but it's connected to the contribution. In the sense, the more you contribute, you more you level up, and only a high level you can start participating to the governance, and only at a really high level you can contribute to change the manifesto. And you know, that is a kind of a security system, but the ability to change a manifesto is always important because we don't know the future. So we need to be able to adapt, but adapting require a lot of responsibility. So it needs some people with the skin in the game that has been here maybe for years, that been contributing a lot and so on. And then they have the authority to suggest let's change the manifesto. And then the community needs to vote. So it's not just someone says let's change it, it's going to change. So all those high level people with a lot of skin in the game will look at the proposal, suggest it, and then will be evaluated to change or not. So I totally agree with you, but we need to have the a really resilient system, but at the same time, nothing should be locked. Otherwise, we remove the sovereignty of the community. You see what I mean? So it's gonna be
Yeah.
almost it's gonna be really difficult that it's gonna be changed towards something completely different. Okay, but there must be,
I just
a protocol.
I just wanted to make, I'm not making sure, but just make the point that I know this no hierarchy, all level, I agree with it. But, there needs to be, like you said, hierarchy to where, okay, only the OGs or the people, who been in with the community a long time say, okay, we can vote on all this stuff if you guys want to change it, but we gotta, it can't just be newcomers and say, oh, we're gonna just throw everything out the window and do something totally different, which and they're newcomers, which I know won't happen. I'm just making that point.
Yeah, and also doesn't matter the amount of money because a lot of those DAO, a lot of also political groups, they can be maneuvered by money. Okay, the
Yeah.
system that we are building is cannot be changed through money. There is no way the money has power. It's resistant to that kind of thing. But yeah, that's really important. Tom, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for you guys talking that through because I think that resilience is what we're looking for. And it's, in my opinion, I love what we're doing. The outcome is brilliant, and it's exactly what I've been striving for is to bring this intelligence to my friends and family in a way that's easily delivered. It's trustworthy. It's not sucking your data. It's sovereign. And I mean, I want it to be token free, but we're driving towards that, right? But this flexibility and diversity of opinion driving the operating framework, right? The DAO and the manifesto give you an operating framework, and these collaboration or collaboration architecture, like the developers, we're going to operate a little bit differently than the artists, than the intellectuals or physicists or whoever's involved, because we're going to have a very diverse group at some point. And if there's an operating framework that allows us to have different collaborative schemes, because it's going to be necessary for better outcomes. And all of that process and outcome is driven in sort of like Sal is saying, and I really appreciate you making these points, because we want it to be resilient, resistant to monetary, financial restructuring, or knocking us off the path, right? Because the end goal is to deliver sovereign AI to people that's not extractive. I mean, it's pretty simple, and if it aligns with those goals, I think we have better outcomes. So thank you guys for being articulate enough to make these points.
Thank you, Tom. Pascal.
From other software projects, often you have a small group of software committers to the project who really know in depth the technology around the open source project, and who are kind of gatekeepers to ensure that the original purpose of the project stays on path. And those committers also kind of usually contribute into a strategic plan, like a software roadmap for the next little while. And I think that would be a way of ensuring, like Manolo having a group of trusted, capable, and committed individuals to work with him, not as some kind of hierarchy, but as, I don't know, kind of an initial like community management group that all of us then can contribute to. And as this grows, each of those committers could also be the lead person for different aspects of the project, feeding into that. And one other thought is, I think if we really want the manifesto to be perpetual is a too strong a word, but if we want it to be very strong and be able to withstand the technical changes that are going to go on with this project, it would be worthwhile sitting down and like doing a group read of the manifesto and having us interrogate, like, what does this word mean? What do we mean by sovereign? Like, explicitly, so that we're all kind of understanding, and even having different people write commentaries on what the manifesto does. I don't want to make this too dogmatic, but if the manifesto is super important, then it's really super important that we all know what is meant in the manifesto and kind of where the constraints are, where we do not go beyond. Thanks.
Thank you, Pascal. Yeah, this it's a good idea. Maybe it could be the next Thursday call about, so we can discuss about the manifesto. So we have a week for each one of us to prepare and read it, and yeah, analyze it. Let's do this. So we can make next week I'm gonna share the link for those that don't have a link of manifesto, and for those that are watching the video, the recorded video, the link is augmentatism.com. Augmentatism.com, but you find the link under each of my videos and on Substack. This is the manifesto, the link to the manifesto. Um, yes, sorry, I forgot, but you said also something else, I think. You made a few points. One was the suggestion, and then Pascal, just remind me quickly because I wanted to say something.
Yeah, before that, I was talking about the notion of eventually getting a small group of committers, so to speak, for the project as a whole.
So I think this is it's happening at the moment in a natural way because this is not like a business that you do the job interview and then you get hired and it doesn't work like this. It's connected to people that wants to commit, that wants to dedicate time and effort in doing this. So it's as a series of elements, and then is a journey of let's call it alignment where because the difficulty with this alignment is because we are building something that have a structure that is different from what we are used to. Okay, the decentralization structure is different, so it's not easy to think in a decentralization way, and it's not easy to think in a way that is anti-capture because every single business is capturing. Okay, they want your subscription, you want your data. We are used to this. Every single app that we use works in that way. So we are building two things that are different, is extremely different from what we are used to it. So there is a requirement of time to understand, okay, but how do we work? How do we make money if we do this? Okay, so there is that element that is completely different, that it's not obvious for each one of us because it's so much easier. So when I say we are going to build the academy and we're going to pay the people that study, okay, it's a challenge because what's the business model? How do we make money if we pay the students? Okay, so everything sounds like a challenge, it's something complex to build. But in reality, there is a business model, there is a system to do it. So it's required time to mature understanding. It is complex because it's new. If it was not new, that would be easier to absorb. It would be a kind of obvious. Yeah, of course, works like this. Okay, at the moment, everything is not obvious. And therefore, there is a need of alignment even with this team that we're talking about. Okay, so for example, Tom and I have been working and there is elements that are not still fully aligned with Tom. Okay, what is amazing with Tom is that he's really dedicated, he wants to learn, he wants to do it. So it's as this healthy approach of saying, okay, I see the vision, I trust you, Manolo, so let's work together. Okay, that is a perfect attitude to to improve and get to the alignment as fast as possible. But nevertheless, there is time. Okay, so there is sometimes the code that is not aligned. Sometimes is, for example, I'm now saying that Tom did anything wrong. Okay, so don't get in this way. Yeah, but for example, there is the excitement and say, okay, let's build. The AI allows you to go extremely fast. And one thing that I told Tom is, let's slow down. Okay, it's we want to go fast, but if we don't align ourselves and the AI, then we are going fast in the wrong direction. So therefore, there is requirement of that kind of a friction and interest. So Tom is interested in doing this thing. It's require a lot of work, a lot of commitment, and not many people are willing to do what Tom is doing. Okay, which is not easy because today my AI gave a feedback to Tom. It was like a disaster, but yeah, yeah. So my AI was fighting with his AI in somehow. Okay, they didn't agree on something. So it sometimes get complicated. So it requires time. Though I agree with you, Pascal. Uh, but because of these dynamics, things take time. But we are getting there. That is the what I'm seeing. Okay, there's a lot of community member interested in doing this, like yourself. But there is a lot of us that are there. Okay, it just take time also you have your own life, your own rhythm, your own thing. This is somehow at the moment it's still so fragile, but it's gonna get more and more solid, and things will gonna get better and better. Sal, go ahead.
Tom's funny. Uh, you know, you know what I love is when when I connect with some of you guys, like just off off of this because it's cool to get to know one another. And this is happening organically, you know. Um, but what I'd like to even discuss, if we can, for next week is how like it would be nice to know what people need to help them integrate more. There might be something that like we are unaware of because we shouldn't be aware of it, but that you might say, you know what, if this one thing happened, I could really help out a lot more. But also, I'd love to be able to help connect people to opportunities. Whether it's like meaningful work within Resonant OS or maybe it's even in the community. Because I know like sometimes like I quit my job in December so that I could be retired so that I could work more. But I mean, everybody has things that are going on in their life. Everyone has pressures and financial pressures, and you might be sitting on something where you say, man, you know what? I really could use a guy because I have this project. Be really cool if we could start even organically saying, I'm looking for a guy, and maybe it's just a one-off, or maybe it's like a temporary thing. But if we could share with each other, and you know, Tom does this a lot, to tell you the truth. He's been kind of a hub for a lot of stuff. And I'm going to turn it over to Tom.
One second, Tom. What I was thinking, maybe Sal and Pascal, if you are interested, next Thursday you could run the call. Okay, of course I'll be there supporting and so on, but maybe you two can organize and even having, if you want to, like slides. We go through each part of the augmentedism, and then we discuss it as a community if you want to do it, okay? Because it would be an interesting way for you to contribute, start building maybe this team that could become maybe one day an evening call for you in the US. And you know, what do you think? Yeah, so
Yeah,
let's.
sounds great.
Thank you, Pascal. So, Sal, be in charge to to connect with Pascal uh, and and organize this. Okay.
Sure.
Cheers. I mean, Pascal said okay, but Sal, you didn't say anything. Just pushing you.
I was rattling my head. You probably didn't
Okay.
hear it.
All right. Thank you, Sal. Tom, go ahead.
Yeah, really fast. It's been exhilarating to get to work in these collaborative environments with a few of you guys and talk tech, talk shop, and share ideas and get things, like Manolo, we talked about my model development and, your AI roasted me a little bit, right? And pushed me in a little bit different direction. That type of friction and feedback is what I need. When you're in a bubble as an engineer, it's nice to have someone to bounce things off of, right? It makes the idea better. It refines things. It sharpens you up. So us working together and building this, augmented velocity development. It's hard to say that word, but us having to move at that rate of development and collaboration, it's exhilarating because, like you said, I ran off in a couple of directions, but honestly, I didn't care because I knew if it got nixed and scratched, it's okay. I'm just experimenting, so I'm willing to do that because I still learn by implementing Electron, implementing Tari, just playing with things, and it's sometimes wasted time, but it's valuable to me. It's a learning experience. So it's okay if we scratch it off because the cost of development again is down to here, right? And we get to test what the AI can do, and it's exhilarating. So thanks for working with me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Tom. Z7 Lab.
Yeah, I like I was kind of listening mostly today. Um, but yeah, I'm kind of like a developer in a bubble. I kind of a solo dev and I've been doing a lot of experiments and a lot of stuff on architecture, a lot of different like agentic tools and stuff like that. So, looking forward how I can connect with other people and contribute however I can. I got a bunch of tools people can test out and stuff. I haven't put it out there It's on a repo, it's a private repo and stuff like that. But like I got about like 6 different tools that kind of work together. That's pretty cool and would like to maybe expand that out for other people to test and see what's useful and stuff like that. And then, however I can contribute to the group is I'm down. So just saying hello and thanks for letting me listen in.
Thank you. And feel free to share the link to the repo in description to both in the chat and on Discord. So maybe there are people, that are interested to collaborate and help and use it. We are 1 minute to the end of this call. So so we have a plan. It was an interesting discussion, this one, but I'm going to stop recording, but then I want to give a chance to those that are new in this community. There's some new people here to present themselves if they want to, off recording, so there is no pressure. Okay, so I'm going to close the recording for all of you that are home. Thanks for staying until the end of this video, and see you tomorrow. There's another call. Okay, ciao.